Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is November the 19th. It's a Wednesday today. Today's really the big day in the markets. We do have Nvidia earnings later today. We also have FOMC minutes later as well. So for the overall indices, yesterday we had a nice opening drive play towards the downside, kind of right off our previous day lows. And then we had a couple names, nice pushes lower as well. We'll hop onto the charts, of course, here in a second. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Willie, Victor, B Roots, Cody, Andreas. What's up, everyone? Yeah, we'll talk about the charts today and see what I'm looking for. I'm actually not expecting too much pre FOMC minutes along with Nvidia earnings. Good morning, Under, Vate, Deuce, Cinna 51. Good morning, Dragon. Dang, what's up, Deuce, Cinna? Yeah, what's up, everyone? Bought Nvidia, nice. KO, I am Robert, Ryan, Nash. Good morning, Eileen. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me grab some water here, and then we'll hop onto the indices. Let me pull up the Forex factor here as well. Alrighty. Okay, so coming into this morning, as you can see here, this is the Forex factor. This is the economic calendar. Coming into today, we do have some red folder news that is going to be the FOMC minutes later today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be fairly big for the markets, but of course, the major news event is going to be the Nvidia earnings after close. As for some other red folder news events, we have some tomorrow, which is going to be average hourly earnings, the non-farm enrollment plus the employment rate. And then we have the unemployment claims, which is tentative. And then, of course, on Friday, we do have the flash manufacturing PMI along with the revised consumer sentiment, which is at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is what we have for red folder news wise, right? Just keep in mind we do have FOMC minutes later today. Let me pull up the earnings calendar here as well. So coming to market open, as you can see, really today, this is the main day. This is like the only thing that matters. The overall market has been waiting for Nvidia to report for a while. We had a bunch of earnings reported a couple weeks ago, but usually Nvidia always reports a little bit after. But as you can see right here for Nvidia, this is going to be the key level. Sorry, this is going to be the key news event that's going to affect the market. So this is after close today. We'll kind of talk about how that impacts the market and what I'm expecting for coming into market open. So this is what we have for the overall markets. Jack, your screen is often blurry. Can you refresh it? That's mostly on your end. So if the screen is a little bit blurry, refresh the stream and you should be good. Everything on my end should be fine. Okay, let's go on to the major indices. Alrighty. So coming into today here for the major indices, specifically the ES along with the SPY, the key level that we have marked out was our last week's lows. So this is the exact level we had marked out yesterday, and we had a nice kind of opening drive play once we got underneath this level, and now you can see we're holding this general area. So yesterday, key levels that we had marked out, we had this general area marked out. We end up holding underneath it coming to market open. Nice kind of opening drive play towards the downside. And price actually ended up coming all the way back up in towards this area and then rejecting once again. So this is what we have for the this is what we have for the ES coming into market open today is still going to be this 6680. So the 6680 here is going to be key for the ES if we reject off this area. Once again, we can see some more downside here in the overall markets. If you do want to see any sort of potential reversal here, the key level is going to be this 6680. If you can reclaim back above this level, potentially you can see a little bit of a mean reversion back towards upside. Let's see. Please set your YouTube resolution. Can you guys not see the stream properly? Is it only in, let's see. You guys can definitely see the stream in 1080p, right? Can you guys just type in the chat? No, it's fine for me. We can see, it's fine. Good here. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, you just got to refresh your browser. I thought it was fine as well. I was just making sure. But yeah, for bandwidth issue, whoever's having, yeah, usually it's fine. I can see my bit rate's around like 6,000, which is usually good for 1080p streaming. All right, next thing, SPY. So coming into today here, exact same levels as yesterday. So you can see the key levels we have marked out, right? Touch here, touch here. We have another touch. This was that opening drive play towards the downside. So as you can see, nice push lower, right towards the downside. And then we end up coming back up and towards this key level. So we're right back at this 662 coming into today. So today is actually an interesting day in my opinion. As I mentioned, we have FOMC minutes, which is going to be later today around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we also do have Nvidia earnings as well. So for the overall market, if I'm looking for a potential opportunity today, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious and I'm most likely to be on lighter sides just because the overall market is waiting for that Nvidia earnings. So I don't expect too much to happen, but of course, we'll just be patient and see what sets up in the overall market. So at least coming to market open today, at least coming to today here for the overall indices, Nvidia, for SPY, if you do want to see pushes lower, we're going to have to reject once again off this 662. So this is going to be the key level for a potential push down and towards your 656, which in this case would be your previous day lows. If you want to see any sort of upside, it's going to have to be above your 662, preferably above your previous day highs, this general area here as well, for any sort of continuation higher. So for the SPY along with the ES, keep an eye out on really your Monday's lows. That's going to be key here for the overall market. As I mentioned, you probably want to be a little bit more patient today just because of the FOMC minutes along with Nvidia earnings later into the session. But this is your exact level that you're going to have marked out here. As for the levels as well, moving forward on Saturdays, or whenever I have my weekly outlooks, I realize I can actually just copy the full link. So I'm going to post it at least next week. I'm going to try it out where I'll post the full link and then you guys can actually copy the link or copy the layout so it directly posts straight to your chart. I'm going to do that on the weekends. All right, let's go on to the NQ here. All right. So for the NQ coming into today, fairly similar thesis here. Key levels that we're going to have marked out. Touch here, multiple touches. Nice opening drive play towards the downside. You can see for the overall markets, right? For the Qs, nice little rejection here right off our key level. And then we had a nice opening drive play towards the downside. Price came all the way back up. And now we're currently right back at this 24,750. You can see right here, this is actually a really big zone, right? So we have a huge zone here on the hourly chart, and on the lower time frames, the levels actually aren't as clear. The past 2 days, we've had nice levels where we basically marked out your previous day lows, or we had your Thursday's lows marked out last week. In this case today, the levels are not as clear because we have this low that we created here on Friday. We have your Monday's lows, and then we also have your Tuesday's highs. So we have kind of 3 levels in one, which I don't like as much. We could refine the levels even more, but in my opinion today, really just based off the higher time frame, I'm just going to keep this 600 key psych level, which is basically lines up here with this 24,750. So same game plan here on the Qs. If we can reject, potentially we can see some more downside coming to market open. Only way we look for a long is if we can show some bullish price action, and if we can get above, now it's going to be this previous day highs. If we look at the QQQ, similar thesis here, key level 600. If we can reclaim hold, we can see a potential continuation higher. If we reject, then we can see this potential move down in towards your 595 and below. As I mentioned, coming to today, we want to be a little bit more cautious just because we do have FOMC minutes and we have Nvidia earnings, which is going to be the main news driver, right? Everyone's waiting for the Nvidia earnings, so that's going to be really big tonight, and that's really going to dictate where the market wants to go, at least for the rest of the month and into the end of year as well. Specifically, Of course, we're talking about the semiconductors, which has been the main theme, right? AI and semis have been really leading the market the past couple months with Nvidia, Palantir. We had a lot of guidance, AMD, of course, as well. But Nvidia is the leader in that industry, so we want to keep that in mind. Okay, now let's go on to some tech names. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can drop them in the chat. Alrighty, so if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, now you guys can drop some in the chat. I'll go over the Meg 7, and then I'll go over a few other names here as well. Some housekeeping items. What else do we have? Sorry, yeah, if you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. All right. Let's go on to Tesla. So first things first here on Tesla, the key levels that we have marked out is your 412 along with your 398. So as you can see here for Tesla key levels, we just have this general area marked out. Yesterday, you end up having this nice kind of reject off your previous day close and a push down in towards your Thursday's lows of last week. And now you can see really based off of the past few days price action, nice drive higher. And now we're just consolidating this general area. So for bounce off the lows, 398 or the break and retest above your 412. Shorts, potential rejection off this level, or if price got all the way underneath your 398, you could be looking for a continuation lower. Right, I have two theses played out just because overall markets are fairly neutral, so you're going to be open to playing both sides. All right, let's go on to Nvidia. So Nvidia coming into today, really nothing to say on this one. This one has earnings after hours, so you're just going to be patient. Based off the key levels that we have marked out, you can just kind of mark out this 184. Of course, you're not going to be trading this one today just because we do have earnings in the after hours. So you're just going to be patient. We'll wait for this one here as well. We'll talk about this one right in the morning tomorrow. So we'll keep that in mind, at least today, right? Do not trade this pre-earnings unless you're planning to swing it into earnings, at least for any day trades. Day trades are off the table just because, as I mentioned, IV is going to be elevated and it's the day before earnings here as well. All right, let's go on to AMD. So AMD is the one that I actually ended up shorting towards the downside yesterday. This one was super solid. Overall markets dropped off your previous day lows here as well. AMD, nice rejections right off your previous day lows. Got underneath our higher time frame key level here as well, which was our 236. And you can see really after this 236, really straight move down in towards our next major level, which was our previous all-time highs. So as you can see, really coming into today, for AMD, this was a major key level here, which is your previous all-time highs. So you can see that's where kind of the buyers are stepping in. So at least moving forward here on AMD, you're going to mark out your 224. You're going to mark out your 236. Currently, we're kind of inside this level and in between its previous day's range. If you want to see some buyers really back above your 236 or potential kind of 224 bounce for a continuation higher, in my opinion, the best one would be the first scenario, which would be above your 236. Downside is still technically in play here for AMD. Now we're underneath this news candle low here as well. Potential pop and fade off your 236, or now if we do get underneath, now it's going to be this previous all-time highs. We can see some more downside here. So those are going to be the key levels coming into market open. Right now you can see in between its middle of the range, so I'll be a little bit more cautious on AMD. All right. As for Apple, so key levels coming into today here on Apple, really not too much to talk about. The past kind of week or past couple of weeks ever since earnings, Apple really hasn't done too much. So right now you can see We're trying to break towards the downside. Let me actually just kind of refine my levels here now. Key level for Apple is really going to be this 267. You can see this is your range high, this is your range low. In between this range, we have not traded Apple whatsoever. If you do want to see some downside here now, it's going to be the break underneath your 267 for potential continuation down in towards this earnings low, which is this 261. So this is the key level that we have marked out on Apple. Besides that, I personally wouldn't trade Apple unless we can break underneath, retest your previous day lows, retest your Monday's lows, and you can be looking for continuation lower. If we just bounce, then right, I'm not interested in trading this one. That's what we have for Apple. As for Amazon, nice rejections right off our key levels yesterday that we talked about, previous day lows. Nice hold, and now we're continuing lower. This one just filled the gap here on the daily time frame, ended up rejecting off this 228. At least moving forward here for Amazon, if we're looking at this on the daily chart, basically had this nice gap up in the markets with earnings, and then now you can see we have this nice earnings reversal. So we're now pushing towards the downside. Really, next major key level here is going to be this earnings low, which technically we just hit in the pre-market, or we actually hit this in the after hours. We hit this in its previous session. So you can see yesterday, your earnings low is a very key level. Let me just mark this out. So for Amazon, you can see touch here, multiple touches yesterday, right off your earnings low, and here in the pre-market as well. If you want to see any sort of upside, right, hold above your earnings low for a continuation higher. Downside, I'll be a little bit more cautious, but underneath your earnings low and a hold of that. At least for Amazon. For Google, this is the only ticker that is still holding up compared to the overall market. So compared to everything else, everything kind of dropping or fairly neutral. Google, I would consider fairly neutral here as well on the hourly chart, but based off the daily chart and this one holding up compared to the overall markets, plus bullish news catalyst as well with warm 92. You can look at this on the hourly chart. You can look at this on the 15-minute, but you can see touch here, multiple touches. If we can now break above this 292, this is going to be the key level for Google for a potential move higher. So that's basically what we have marked out. If we're on the 15-minute time frame, the chart's a little bit more, it's not as clear, but as I mentioned, higher time frame key level 292 here on Google. As for Microsoft, this one nice push towards the downside yesterday off our key levels, which was our 500 key psych. We end up having a nice push lower. Really not too much to talk about on this one. Kind of pulling back right in towards key levels of support. This is your exact area that you do want to see the buyer step in off of, which is your 490s. As for all the other tickers here as well, Meta pushing lower here. This is really leading the market towards the downside. No buyers have really stepped in on this ticker. This one, nice opening drive play yesterday. Actually did get bought up, but not really too much to talk about. So for Meta, nice kind of retest off of your Monday's lows for a push lower. Now moving forward on Meta, if you want to see any sort of push higher, right, reclaim back above your 602. If you do want to see continue push lower, right, you like to see underneath your 596. But today's the day, as I mentioned, with the overall markets already dropping coming to this week. We have FOMC minutes later into today, plus Nvidia earnings. I'm coming into the day being a lot more cautious on the overall markets just because of what I outlined. As for Netflix, right, key levels that we have marked out is our earnings low. Right, touch here, multiple touches. If you want to see upside, reclaim back above 115 now. If we reject, we can see a push right back down in towards the middle of the range. Okay. All right. So for the overall market coming into today, as I mentioned, I'm going to be a lot more neutral and be a little bit more cautious just because it doesn't make too much sense. Even if you do trade today, you are going to be on lighter size just because of Nvidia earnings, right? Basically, the overall market's waiting for that. So no significant move is going to happen, in my opinion, pre-earnings. A lot of the moves are going to happen after earnings. If you have strong guidance or if we have weak guidance, that's going to kind of kick off the rest of the move, at least for until the end of the month. But okay, if you guys do have any charts now, I saw you guys type a little bit earlier. I'll go over some names, probably the next 5 to 10 minutes here. At least for my main watches coming into today, based off of the Mag 7 names and the spine Qs. Really, it's just going to be off this level coming to market open. So spine Qs, keep an eye out on your last week's low, 600 key psych, along with SPY. That's going to be the 663. As for my main watches, I actually don't have any. Apple, maybe if it shows a little bit of weakness underneath your previous day lows. A lot of these names already pushed lower nicely to end off the for the first 2 days. Google still relatively strong compared to the overall markets, but today, yeah, today's a day where I'm going to be a little bit more hands off, and it's just going to be based off of intraday price action because a lot of these ones are kind of stuck inside of a range, or we're a little bit more neutral. Of course, the overall market's still leaning more towards the downside just based off the hourly chart, and we're still technically underneath a key level here as well. So if we can maintain underneath, as I mentioned, we can see some more downside. If we reclaim back above, then we can see a potential reversal here in the markets. All right, that's what I have for the overall really Mag 7 and indices. I'm going to go on to a few other names here as well. So if you guys do have any tickers or any charts, you guys can now drop them in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, of course, that one is in the description. What is the drawing tool you use to mark out? It's called Zoom It. It's free. It's a Google, or I think it's like a Microsoft tool that you can use. Trying to understand how you define green zones on your chart. They're just old highs, old lows, color coded technically as demand, red support, and then I have these yellow ones which are fairly neutral. Can you please tell me the significance? Same question. I will have as well, either probably next week. I was going to do it this week, but might be a bit busy. But next week, I'm going to have a pre-market, or I'm going to have a pre-market prep on Sunday. So we can draw basically the brand new levels, show you guys how to draw my key levels. And of course, I'm going to kind of walk you through my thought process coming into the week, since a lot of you guys are asking those questions. They're just old highs, old lows, but I'll show you guys how to draw those levels from scratch. What do you think of to play zero call options, one contract NVIDIA lowers play? I'm not sure what you mean by zero call options, or you mean sizing for zero or 0 days? In this case, NVIDIA only has Friday's expirations. Okay, for Palantir, right at a key spot here, 170, candle closing, trying to close underneath it. But this is a very key level here for Palantir. If we maintain underneath your 170, potential continuation lower. Now it's kind of stalling in this general area. So if we reclaim, potentially you can see just a push right back up and towards your 176. Not too much to talk about on this one. As for Hood, a lot of these ones fairly similar, not too much to talk about, kind of pulling back into key levels of support. SoFi once again right back up and towards our earnings high. Right back in towards our earnings high in a very key level. I like to see the buyers step in once again. We went from range high down all the way towards your range low. This is where we bounced from last time. Let's see if we can get a little bit of buyers here on SoFi once again to kind of push this potentially back towards upside. OKLO. A lot of these beta names, high beta names, have dropped significantly from its peak. So you can see like OKLO down 50%, SoFi, Hood, a bunch of these names dropping nicely, with the overall market really not down as much. So for the overall markets now, OKLO is just coming back down in towards kind of your higher time frame key level support. Technically, this is your next higher time frame key level, which is your 80. So in this case, we can mark that out. We can mark out a few other levels here as well, primarily this key level. We can drag it over 116. So based off of the higher time frames, for OKLO, have this general area marked out. You either want to see one of two things: reclaim, or now you like to see the bounce off of your 80 key psych. Let me go over a few other tickers. Let's see. Let me scroll up here as well. MSTR. No, MSTR, the overall markets have been beaten down quite a bit here on MSTR. You can see we're just kind of right back in towards key levels of support. If you're interested in MSTR, that's actually a really good area, but you can see really staying heavy. And now you can see your first initial reaction is just area where we broke out from in your previous retest level. So a little bit of buyer stepping in. You like to see kind of a push back up in towards your 240 here. That would be nice here on MSTR. Really a bounce back up in towards your 240. So that's the key level that I have marked out on this one. Bitcoin it's still staying heavy here as well. Kind of a major outlook on Bitcoin, at least moving forward, right? Higher lows are still very much intact. Potentially, we could see a retracement down in towards your 72. But of course, based off the higher time frames, it's going to have to do quite a bit. But maybe in the near future, potentially, maybe we can get like a retest for a push down in towards, now it's going to be like 72. But that's still technically building up higher lows. If you're looking at the daily chart, I guess key levels that we can have marked out now are just going to be your up close candles, right? You can mark out your order blocks. All right, let's see here. Let me scroll down, answer some questions here as well. GLD. So this is just gold. Let me go into gold. So as you can see here, key level here on the higher time frames for gold we mentioned yesterday, which is this kind of breakout level. If we can reclaim back above, we can see a push back towards the upside. So if you're basing it off the daily chart, this one kind of bouncing right off our key level of support. We can also have this kind of trend line marked out here as well. So for gold, preferably now we have a couple touches higher here as well. We like to see the potential break above for this continuation back up and towards our all-time highs. Okay, let's see. Zoom it. It's called Zoom it. You can find it on, you can just search it up. Drawing tool, it's called Zoom it. Alrighty. I'm most likely just going to go over my top watches now, and then I'm going to get ready for market open. BTC lower, zero max. What's your strategy and options? Do you take long positions? Do you hold contract for a few months? Or that's like swing positions. Currently in this market, you don't really want to put on any swings. But yeah, as for the overall market now, for the Qs, same thing. I mean, really not too much to talk about today. I just urged some caution this morning, just because, as I mentioned, FOMC minutes along with Nvidia earnings. The major days are going to be tomorrow, right after earnings, plus moving forward, just because we're going to have more guidance. But at least today here, be a little bit more cautious. Keep an eye out on your 600 key psych. If we reject off this level, we're just going to come right back down and towards your previous day close. If we reclaim potential push up and towards our previous day highs, we're kind of opening up right in between its previous day's range and in between kind of a key level here on the higher time frames. If you look at SPY, similar thesis. SPY's a little bit more weak. So if we reject, similar thing, potential push down towards your previous day close, reclaim, you can see a push back towards upside. As for my main watches coming into today, as I mentioned earlier, I really don't have any. I'm just kind of basing it off of intraday price action. Today is a risk-off day for me with Nvidia earnings. Besides that, a lot of these ones are kind of opening up inside the middle of the range. Nvidia, of course, you do not want to trade this pre-earnings. AMD range, Tesla range, Apple, higher time frame range. Maybe we can see some Apple weakness. Sorry, if we can break underneath your 266 potentially, down and towards this earnings lows in play. But besides that, right, Amazon already hit your earnings low. That's your main objective. Google potentially above your 292. And then the rest of the names, yeah, you already dropped. So we're going to be cautious today here on the overall markets. We'll just wait, be more patient, really wait for that Nvidia earnings and FOMC minutes later today. Yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to get ready for market open. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, that of course is in the description below. And yeah, that's going to be it for me today. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. And we'll kind of talk about NVIDIA earnings and how that's going to impact the market moving forward. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.